off of the 3-day adventure that was the NFL draft, the Philadelphia Eagles. We cannot go 6 minutes before we're joined by the network without talking about that picture and then video behind Harry. There are a lot of things looking at. The Sixers needed overtime to beat a B, C, D, E, F, G, H league team last year. And the Phillies have been calling robots for years.
Pass.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a hard pass for me.
Like Broad and Lombard? that's you're passing through like Lombard?
Yeah. The Phillies are a hard pass for me.
Look, let me say this, all right? The Emperor, and I said this morning, so if anybody caught Fox 29, I apologize for recycling content, but at least I'm telling you ahead of time I'm recycling content. Here's the thing about the draft for the Philadelphia Eagles, all right? If you're the Emperor, you don't get props for putting the robe on. If you're walking out showing off your new clothes and showing your rear as a result of it, you don't then get props for putting on your robe. Stop giving Howie Roseman credit just for bringing things back to the norm. And I don't even think he did bring it back to the norm. I'm so disappointed with the overreaction love for Howie Roseman, more so than anything else that happened with the draft.
Well, I don't know where you're getting this love for Howie Roseman. It just, it was a success on Thursday night in that they got a good player that they sorely needed. And the lead up to that was the trade weeks ago where they netted an additional first-round pick. Other than that, I don't get any love for Howie Roseman. Where are you getting this?
Barrett's going to break everything down. But real quick, B, as far as just to respond to this, if you look at grades, whatever stock you put into this, even Barrett, right? Everybody's got grades, right? The Athletic guy, the guy who does the grades for the Athletic, has him at the top as the number 1 graded draft in the NFL.
That's ridiculous.
No, that's not possible.
That's ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, thank you. I thought it was just me this morning.
Thank you. Ridiculous. First of all, grading drafts today is ridiculous in its own, just as a
itself,
just doing that right now is stupid. I know everybody does it. We're not going to do that. We don't fall into that crap.
All right, have at it, Barrett.
I'm just saying, man, your second-round pick. No, once again, your second-round pick more than likely won't play this year.
He's hurt.
And I keep telling people, the first 3 rounds, you have to either play or make an impact somehow with the special teams or whatever. You have to play, and you have to make a positive influence on the team. Now, last year, the first-round pick, he played. The second-round pick,
he didn't do much.
Forced to play. I know he didn't do it. He didn't do much. Second-round pick, he was forced to play. The third-round pick didn't even see the field, but for special
teams, yeah.
So once again, if you're first through third, if they don't get on the field, it's a fail, an epic fail, because you're supposed to at least the first round is at least going to start. Second round is supposed to split time and play special teams. Third rounder, special teams, split time. I mean, that's just what it is. And at this point, I think we have another draft in which, the first rounder will play and will have some substantial minutes, definitely substantial minutes. But the second rounder, he'll probably be forced to play. But if we drafted him as a center, he won't play. If we drafted him solely as a center, it's an epic fail because he was the second best center in the draft. Now, understand why they would want a player like that, because, we're talking about a captain, a guy there, that emotionally can get the team going in the right direction. But you can't make the club in the tub.
Right.
He has been out 4 years straight. Well, they don't call it IR, but season-ending injuries. Are we crazy?
That usually doesn't go away.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No. And look, we're talking about Dillard, who God knows what the hell you're going to get from him now moving forward. So this whole thing about the offensive line, again, this is why I get frustrated is, they addressed a need. Did they really address a need? Andre Dillard, and now this unfortunate situation of drafting a center from Bama who's hurt. What about waiting until the 4th round to take a cornerback?
Ridiculous.
What the hell is happening
Well,
here?
that's the whole part of with this photo behind me.
Right.
Was they thought they were gaming the board. Like Howie thought he was making a shrewd move where he could get an extra 6th round pick in a weak draft, mind you. What do you need an extra 6th round pick for? Just draft the damn cornerback out of Central Florida at 70 and be done with it.
Well, that's the problem. We miss out on a lot of corners.
I'm so glad the Giants swooped in there and got that kid. I really am.
Because now we can go back to the non-narrative but factual conversation of fire Howie. Where's the guy who's like, still fire Howie on Friday morning? Overreacting, like we said. Jeez, this guy, I don't like him. All right? I don't know what's going on here, but I don't like how he acts.
Yeah.
What's going on, Bat? We got to play that video.
This is a Gal Media product.
We do.
In partnership with JAKIB Media.
And you, my friend, are caught in the middle.
The Middle starts now on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Home loans that fit your life. Rocket can.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander, Barrett Brooks, and Harry Mays.
I was never really a grades guy. Never really mattered what the letter was as long as I could just get through the grade and the year.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like,
just pass me.
Exactly. Get the hell out of high school. Get the hell out of college. Like, that was the goal. But everybody wants to grade. How are you grading your squads out there? For us, I told you, the Athletic, at least, the only place that I found at the top. But I see B's, B minuses, and I am befuddled at that. Because I have no idea what the hell's going on.
I'll tell you what the grade is, and the grade for everybody, incomplete, because we don't know. Like just selecting these players means nothing. I mean, you can't look at a draft, but 2 to 3 years down the road, and then you can give it a grade.
Real quick, what is that ringtone? Like, what's the name of that ringtone? That's like the Mike Scott Office ringtone.
Right. I can't believe my phone is on right now. But,
but that phone. Specific ringtone.
I don't know what it's called.
Russo ringtone. Hey, what do you have to have that promo that Culver put together?
I'm just going to have 8 miles.
Yeah,
right.
Seriously.
Right.
That would, you know what, though? Nobody would ever mind. Like, could you imagine that you're doing a radio show, you're in a press conference, wherever you are in a work setting, and your phone goes off, Barrett, and it's Russo yelling. Nobody would ever say anything negative to you. Like, come on, man, turn that down. Like, is that Chris Russo yelling as your ringtone?
They would probably go, ah-da-da.
Yeah, what is this? What about Havlicek stuff?
It's 80 miles. Right. All right, we got a lot of things happening here, including we have to tell you about this fantastic giveaway, and it's happening now. If you're following along on the JAKIB Media YouTube page, you can go to, and we put up the link right there, so it's very easy for you. We'll tweet it out. We'll put it out for you as well. It is very easy to see and then follow on the JAKIB Media YouTube page. 1 of 10 Devontae Smith jerseys where you can be entered to win. That's pretty cool right there. 10.
Yeah, number 6
Devontae
jersey.
Smith. Yes, 6 jersey. All right. We'll get into everything going on here. The draft. There's a back-to-back tonight that you might want to keep your eye on in the NBA. So some things happening here, including especially our squad in Chicago. So it's the middle. Keep it here. Because we're going to put this video up. And this was the thing that went viral. This is the thing. I didn't see this until you guys brought it to my attention. This was much bigger than Bob Baffert winning his 7th Derby or Bush winning the Bushy McBushface race that happened yesterday. This was the big thing that went viral from the NFL draft in the 3rd round when they took the defensive tackle instead of what Tom Dono and a bunch of other people expected to be a cornerback. So when you see this and this thing is circulating around and you realize that it's not like 30 people on Twitter and they're trying to push this trend, it's real.
Right.
I guess the immediate initial reaction is facepalm, right? Like, oh my goodness, Philadelphia is showing its ass again out there nationally.
No, with me, it was like, yes, I finally see somebody that cares about the organization, that gives a damn about how to put and bring players in here that will make some sense. I mean, a lot of guys they draft didn't make sense at the time. We needed cornerbacks. We've been screaming cornerbacks for the longest. once again, I'll have to sit back on third down and have my Pepto-Bismol or my antacids sitting on side, because on third down we're going to get beat deep again by all these Galladays and Amari Coopers and everybody else on third down. We have nobody to cover them.
Can you imagine being one of these scouts, where you've done all this prep work, right? You've been out there scouting all these miserable college games last year during COVID, however you were doing it. And you come up with this name, this kid from UCF, he's sitting right there for you, right?
Yes.
And you're like, this is a sorely needed position of need. He's a good player.
Aaron
He's
Robinson,
sitting there. We don't have to do anything but let him fall right into your lap. And what does Howie do? No, I got to prove to everybody how smart I am, because I'm going to get us an extra 6th round pick so we can take a developmental defensive end from Coastal Carolina in the 6th round that probably won't even make the team.
Right.
And then we're going to take what's Milton Williams. He might be a nice player someday, but he's listed as a developmental tackle. Okay? Just take the cornerback.
A tweener that doesn't know he's going to be a defensive end or a 3 technique.
Right.
Look, you know what? Oh, boom. I'm going to put this out on the column too. So let me write this down.
We got 2 tweeners now.
But here's what's happened. Just like the Super Bowl was the worst thing that could have happened to reinforce the misnomer that Lurie and Roseman are single-handedly responsible for all of this success, Jordan Mailata and his continued success in the NFL, which I think, and Barrett, you can validate this, is going to happen. Like, this kid is going to be a player in the NFL. That's going to be the same thing when it comes to mining talent in the draft. These guys have been full-on enabled by just shots in the dark. And it worked. It worked when they won the Super Bowl. It worked with Jordan Mailata, but it's not working.
No.
Time.
Well, see, Shan, that's the problem. It's not working. That's not what you do. What's wrong with drafting players that are already good?
Exactly.
Now, that's the damn problem.
Exactly.
Draft somebody that's already good.
But now every round
what
is
are we doing?
Who could be the Mailata of this round?
Right.
Who could be the Mailata of the 3rd round?
Who's
a developmental tackle on D that may not even play in the early rotations?
Who's the injured player that we can get in this round that should have gone in that other round were he not injured?
There lies the problem. That's what pisses me off the most, And we're talking to Ray, and in my conversations with Ray, we're breaking down these draft picks that they have, and as we're looking at these draft picks can turn a franchise around in just one draft. You can get a draft to turn around. We talked about the Saints draft in 2017 on how that draft turned the entire organization around. From that point on, they became a championship organization. So this is what they had in this 2017 draft. Pick number 1, Ryan Ramczyk.
Mm-hmm.
He's a perennial Pro Bowler
at
the tackle position. 2nd round, we had they had a first round, another round. Marshawn Lattimore in the 1st round.
Cornerback. Yep.
Right.
Cornerback, perennial Pro Bowler. They also had let me see, who was it? Alvin Kamara in this draft. They had a PJ. No, not PJ. They had a safety too. That
you
that
have
got
it, or are you
too.
just going off of?
Marcus Williams. I'm looking it up. Marcus Williams.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's now a starter and balling for this team. But yet we want to go in and get guys that maybe will turn out in 3 years to be championship type of players.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense, right?
No, it makes no sense at all. None whatsoever.
Yeah, man. I think trying to make sense of this, and I'm going to pull this up here where the guy from The Athletic is one of many people who came away with a very impressive couple of rounds of the draft for the Eagles. And I guess I go back to the first night and think, okay, great. Like, Devontae Smith is a talent that should help. Clearly, the Giants wanted him. They weren't going to get him. Cowboys move up. I get all of that. But is Devontae Smith such a big talent for the Eagles alone that he makes them that high of a grade? And if so,
no.
Then why did he fall?
Right. So I think Devontae Smith is a great talent. We'll get our money's worth out of him.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get his money's worth. But after that, we're not going to get our money's worth out of it. Like I said, just look up that 2017 draft with New Orleans. And I forgot about, was it Hendrickson or something like that? He led the team in sacks the past 3 or 4 years. The last 2 years. Trey Hendrickson has led the Saints in sacks. Just got a big contract for somebody else. They just let him go.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a big contract because he was going to get more money. We can't go out and get players that can play right now that are good right now.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
Well, if you want to
develop people.
If you want a real woulda, shoulda, coulda draft, you can go back and look at it now. But now that they did take an offensive lineman in the first 2 rounds, you had Rashawn Slater sitting right there at 12. You wouldn't have had to move up. You could have grabbed him. Then you could have gotten Terrace Marshall easily in the 2nd round from LSU. He was sitting there for you.
Yep.
Then you don't trade away your 2nd, 3rd round pick. You can take Aaron Robinson at 70 and Chauncey Golston, the defensive end from Iowa that ended up going to I think did Dallas get him?
Well,
I think Dallas got him.
Or Washington.
Dallas had a great draft.
I think it was Dallas.
Well,
Dallas
hold
had a
on
great
now.
draft.
We can't say that it's incomplete and say that we can't jump to any conclusions when it's downplaying the excitement of what Philly did and then balance it out by going over the top for another squad, right?
Right.
Well, I think we can and this is the problem. I think we can like a player. We can like a kid. We can like where they came from and what they did in college. But that doesn't mean, and nor should it transfer over to, oh my God, this team did it. Just because they took the kid you wanted doesn't mean the grade is a B+.
No, I like Smith. I like Dickerson if he can be healthy.
Which he's not right now.
Right. And I don't know if he can be. And I like Gainwell a lot from Memphis, the running back that they got.
That's a good pick.
I like that pick.
Yes.
The other guys I don't know about.
I watched film on Gainwell. I did.
Yeah.
I mean, he was good enough that, he was a top. He would have been a 2nd rounder.
Right.
Had he played last year, but he
opted
out
last year.
He opted out and only had 1 real year of game film.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? 1 real year.
I think he scored like 15 touchdowns total in that year.
He was unbelievable. He was almost unstoppable.
12 on the ground and 3 in the air.
He had a game where he had 100 yards rushing and 200 yards receiving.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I want my receivers to get 200 yards receiving, let alone a running back. They line him up out of the slot, line him up wide. He can run in between the tackles. He's explosive.
And he's 200 pounds. It's not like he's one of these 170-pound backs. He's 200 pounds.
Well, let's see how they use him, because I'm not even going to assume that he can be used correctly. Not every coach gets that benefit of the doubt. All right?
And look, if Dickerson can stay healthy, if he can be healthy, he's going to be a good player.
All right,
but their history doesn't bode well.
It's the middle and watching on the JAKIB Media YouTube page, Sports Map Radio, Philly Voice as well. We're back in 3. We are fans. That's why we're complaining.
Ruin on the stream.
Yeah.
How many times has Harry looked like Donahoe when the boss was all rah-rah like Lil Howie? That happened a bunch of times.
Dorian Buckner said we're complaining too much. Dude, I'm not really complaining right now. I can really complain if I really wanted to complain, but no, not right now. Right. This is just me telling the truth about what they should have, could have, would have done.
I saw a much better comment to respond to. Anthony Romero.
Oh yeah. The kid from Texas Tech, the family he comes from.
Yeah.
But he was a Penn Stater.
He started out Penn State, but got too rough for him.
You're listening to The Middle on the Sports Map Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios. Here's Eitan Shander, Barrett Brooks, and Harry Mays.
I'm looking at this here, the draft rankings from The Athletic. This is a little aggressive, don't you think, to put the Philadelphia Eagles right there at the top?
Well, I think SI gave him a really good grade too.
Yeah, but if you look here, if you're watching on the JAKIB Media YouTube page here on the middle, and if you're listening on Sports Map Radio, we encourage you to watch as well, especially when we pull stuff up here. But this guy, Brugler, who, no knock, I have no beef or blood with.
Dane Brugler, yeah.
Yeah, the Athletics' Dane Brugler, who's their number one guy. Like, he's their main guy.
Right.
Of all 32 teams, he put the Eagles at number 1. Now,
Right.
this isn't like Zach Berman, our guy, Shield, right? Like guys in Philly who were charged with ranking everything. And it's like, oh, come on. Of course, you're going to put your team up there at the top. No. This is the main national person for The Athletic. And let's be honest, it's not like The Athletic is, the Ringer or a place that's just more comical and not as serious. I mean, The Athletic is built off being serious with integrity. And I think that's what's shocking here. At least the takeaway for me is that, all right, look, you want to argue that the Eagles had a C, C plus, B minus, that's fine. But who in their right mind would all argue that they had an A plus or A plus plus?
I don't think you can give them an A plus just simply because, if you look at it, they have a lot of tweeners, guys that don't have defined roles, defined positions. If you look at it, 3 guys, for instance, you got to look at the 7th rounder, the pick 234, Patrick Johnson. Is he going to be an edge rusher? Is he going to be a linebacker? Jacoby Stevens. Is he going to be a safety or is he going to be a linebacker? Who else? The defensive end from Coastal Carolina. They want him to play inside or outside. Milton Williams. They want him to play inside and outside. So that's 3 guys that are like tweeners who you don't know which way they're going to go as far as, a position on the team. There is a lot of talent on this team, but it's not the number one talent that'll come play right now. They need to be developed, learn the game, and put in great situations.
I mean, if you want
to go now,
if you want to grade a draft, we should grade the 2018 draft because it's 3 years.
Oh, you know what?
Go back and grade it.
Why aren't people think about this? That's a genius radio bit for 2 reasons. One, because it satisfies the lazy host who lives in the past, who just can't help themselves to recycle old content. And 2, it's actually really smart because it keeps people in current context kind of balanced. Like, hey, man, you just went excited jumping up and down for a kid they took in the 2nd round. And I'm not speaking specifically to Dickerson, just in general, where you have no idea what's going to happen with this guy in 6 months, let alone 12 or 18 months. Why don't you look back? Like, it's a really smart idea. I don't know why more people aren't doing that.
Well, I mean, because typically that's how long you have to let it marinate in order before you can really grade how they did.
But
right?
it should be a tradition this Monday. Today should be a tradition where, yes, you acknowledge what your team did in the draft. Hey, great. They took Devontae Smith Thursday night. They took a center who's not healthy, fill in the blanks with the rest. And then you spend the majority of the time looking back at what your team did 3 years ago. Like it should be a holiday tradition, the Monday after the draft, to spend 75-25 on the 3 years ago draft.
Well, let's do it, Barrett. I'm going to give you a name right here. They didn't have a 1st round pick in 2018, I guess. The 2nd round, they took Dallas Goedert, who I was really excited about when they picked him because they picked him right in front of Dallas, if you remember. And we all thought that Dallas wanted him, and maybe they did want him. I don't know. But what would you say about Dallas Goedert? He's kind of not performed the way I thought he'd be better.
Well, you know what? I like Dallas Goedert, and I like the way he started to mature into a really good tight end once he figured out that, all right, I'm not just the second fiddle, to Zach Ertz. So he's starting to get implemented more into the offense. Carson didn't really have a feel for him, so I didn't think, they threw the ball to him enough. But now that this young guy's there, Hurts is going to throw to him. Hurts is going to fill it up with him. So I think that, the chemistry he has, as far as athletically, he's just as good an athlete as Ertz. He can catch just like Ertz. He has more yak yards than Ertz. He can run after the catch.
Yeah.
So
I need more production out of him, but I like the pick. I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, he is getting that little black book, though. Well, it's an iPad now. He needs to learn his plays better, be more in tune with what the offense is trying to do as far as getting him open.
All right, no 3rd rounder either. 2 in the 4th round, Avonte Maddox and Josh Sweat.
Wait a second. We should put context as to why this team doesn't have a 1st or 3rd rounder here, because that's going to wait on what that draft was, especially if they put themselves in a position with a bad trade or bad move in order to not have these picks, and then they didn't hit on guys on top of that. You see what I'm saying? Like, it compounds the error at that point.
Yeah, I got to do more research as to where those picks went.
Was that a Carson to get up for Carson? I don't know what the first was. I don't know why they missed that first. But as for Avonte Maddox and Sweat is starting to develop into a really good third
Traded
down
Baltimore for Lamar Jackson.
For Lamar Jackson?
Yes, sir. The Eagles traded their 2018 first and fourth round selections to Baltimore in exchange for their second and fourth round selections and a second round selection in 2019. So we'd have to see in the second round. I don't think they were in the second round at the time. So they traded their first and fourth to be in the second and fourth, and then an extra second in 19. So they only had one second round pick in 2018, and that was Dallas Goedert.
Right.
So, well, you know why that made sense. You know why you don't look at the first round pick, but you have to look at they had just won the Super Bowl. So it was actually pick number 32.
Right. It was
which is actually
round.
Belichick or Ozzie Newsome or your guy in Pittsburgh or just now in Tampa Bay. They took a linebacker. They brought back two of the best linebackers in the NFL and they drafted one. Get out of here. I'm not accepting that.
I mean, 32 is just like a second round pick.
That's what they were thinking. I love the justification of it, but come on. This is it. Even still, like you should be able to mine talent out of that. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, New England, these teams are making a living there. I think that further compounds the error of that draft if you're not sold on Dallas. Like Dallas Goedert has to be a first-round talent at this point in order to pay out for that trade and that draft to make sense, in my opinion.
All right.
With a Bloomberg.
Let's look. All right, so next, in the 6th round, Matt Pryor from TCU.
Stinks.
That's your guy.
He stinks.
Isn't he the one with a hand issue, or was that Herbig?
That was Herbig. That was Herbig. Pryor stinks.
Pryor couldn't fight his way out of wet paper bag. He needs to go see the Wizard also.
Yeah.
He definitely needs to go see the Wizard. You know, he's soft as drugstore cotton. I don't understand it, man. To be that big, why are you just so inept at being mean?
Yeah.
You know, get mad sometimes.
You ought to come on this show. You ought to come on this show. We'll get him mad.
Seriously. Man, that Seth video blew up.
Oh, yeah. Seth.
Here, man.
Love Seth.
We got to get
Shander, Barrett Brooks, and Harry Mays.
Unbelievable that we have high grades for a draft that isn't really inspiring. Maybe it's the people behind it. I don't know. I can't get over that video. I cannot get over the optics of that video. And look, it's not just one guy at the end. Let's be fair. You did not, I don't know if anybody caught Jim Trotter's piece on what's going on out in San Francisco, but it's basically, if you can envision the video that went viral of the Philadelphia Eagles, it would be the video description of the polar opposite. Like everybody in unison jumping up. You shouldn't be having to, like, if I'm out here and needing to extend my fist even more for the fist bump, that means you're not into it. Yeah, that like if I'm like out and I need to extend a little more into the screen, you're kind of like, chill.
No.
And that happened to guys before he hit Tom.
Oh, I know. He was trying to go around the room getting fist bumps from everybody.
Yep.
No,
it was hilarious.
Yeah, that's not, and it happens. That happens in war rooms. I mean, everybody's not going to like that pick, but understanding that that's the realization between a football guy and a non-football guy.
Yeah.
Understanding, I bet it was the same thing that played out in Minnesota. It was the same thing that played out with the Giants. I cannot believe they let this guy go.
Right.
Or you mean
you're talking about last year with Jefferson being left on the board? Yeah.
Are you kidding me? They did what? Oh, hurry up! They couldn't wait. I mean, in fact, as soon as they picked him, they were on the clock for 2 seconds. They're like, nope, all right, and they have the pick.
They're probably sitting there saying, "Damn, the Eagles are going to take Robinson."
Right.
I know they're going to take Robinson. They need a cornerback bad.
And they already took Smith from us. They already took Smith from us.
Right.
I hate to do it to you, Eagles, but you just gave it to us.
But you know what? Here's the thing to that, and I saw Jeff Bruder and others reference this on the stream, like. It happens everywhere, and you mentioning it. And I'm not speaking for you or at you, Barrett, specifically. I've seen it to a larger context. The difference is that Those other teams are not the subject constantly, routinely of pieces, both locally and nationally, of dysfunction. They're not looked at right now as and you know what? You're right, where other teams are dysfunctional. There are teams in sports that are dysfunctional. And maybe it's an analogy of somebody getting caught speeding on the side of the road where you're like, okay, I'm speeding too. But if that's a Ferrari, if that's a Maserati, if that's a high-priced vehicle that's flying, then you look over there and you think, all right, well, then there's going to be some attraction if you're going 100 in the left lane in a super fast, super expensive car. And the Eagles routinely do that, and they routinely get caught. And the optics of that video, I think, almost validated everything that came before it.
Well, I mean, he knows the type of talent they just let go. They just let fly by us. He understands what they needed. And because he understood what they needed, we didn't go get it. Then now it's, Howie's like, all right, let me try to justify this for everybody. It's a great pick, right?
Right.
No, bro.
Well, I mean, the mindset was that they thought Robinson would still be there 3 slots back down, right? To let Carolina come up and take that offensive lineman. Right. And they got he got gamed. The Giants got back on him because the Eagles thought they didn't trade down to take that defensive tackle. They had to take that defensive tackle because the guy they thought would be there was no longer there.
This is a third-round version of Marcus Smith.
Right.
You had no idea what to do, so you went with somebody who you at least knew the name. It's like, I don't know this person, I don't know this person, I don't know this person. I at least know that person's first name. I'm going to go hang out with them in the party. Like that's what you did. You had no idea what you were doing and you panicked.
Well, that happens.
Yeah,
and
it does.
You got to stick too much with them, though.
But you got to know your draft board, and there it is. You don't understand your draft board well enough to make informed decisions, at key positions during this draft. You got to notice you need a cornerback. You need a cornerback more than Carter needs liver pills.
And there were 2 corners that ended up going right after that pick, too.
Right.
Washington took one of them.
Well, Asante Samuel was on the board, and I don't understand what's happening.
I thought that's where they were going.
Yeah. Well,
I thought that is what they're going. I mean, come on now. You got Asante Samuel there?
What? They didn't even address this position in free agency. So you'd think, okay, maybe you're going to stock younger players now. And look, I get it. And Anthony Romero on the stream was the first to bring this up. And there are others now. And this is not or far from a knock on McPherson. I mean, if the kid can play, it's going to be a blessing. But it shouldn't come to that where you're hoping that a 4th-round pick can turn into something like that where you're automatically absolved for overlooking this position in free agency.
Well,
Asante Samuel Jr. wasn't there in the 3rd round. He was taken in the 2nd. Yeah.
Oh, 2nd round. Pardon me.
Yeah.
He was on the board with I'm sorry.
With Dickerson. Yes.
To get Dickerson. Yes.
Right. Where you could then make that justification for making that trade in the 3rd round and not have as much pressure on that pick that the Giants scoop. Where if you've addressed the need, because at that point you look at the board in the 3rd round and there isn't as clear-cut of a decision where you can take somebody at least who had the talent of Asante Samuel. So what they did is they let it hang. They let it hang until the 3rd round, and they got cute with it. And then they got caught with it. And then by the 4th round, look, they got McPherson, and that's great, but that was the only option. There was no other option by the 4th round but to draft a cornerback, where if you take Asante Samuel in the 2nd, not the injured center, you're no longer in that position in the 3rd round.
Right. Well, but this is the travesty of it all. He's not the best center. Now, if you draft him to be a guard or a center, then I can see, all right, but still not in the 2nd round. You could have got him in the 3rd round.
The other center, you're talking about the guy that went to Denver?
Yeah, I'm talking about what's his name?
From Wisconsin,
from Oregon.
Whitewater?
No. This is guys from Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
He was the number 1 center. He was the number 1 center in the draft. And when I broke down, when I broke down what the Eagles could have done, they could have gotten him in the 3rd also. You know what I mean? Because he got picked in the 2nd round, but still, he was if you're going to get somebody and he's healthy, he's healthy and the best center in the draft. Healthy and the best center in the draft, and his draft philosophy, we want players that love ball, that are fast
Right.
and are healthy, he checks the box of 2 of them, but not the third one. He has yet to finish a season without being on IR. Well, they, will not finish the season hurt.
Yeah.
They don't have IR in college. But come on, man. Get the cornerback. Everybody knew we needed a cornerback. Why would we not get a cornerback high? I thought we should have got a cornerback in the first.
Well,
let alone to the fourth. I mean, when I did my draft breakdown for NBC Sports, I said, well, the Eagles waited to the 4th round to get their cornerback. Zach McPherson started his career out at Penn State, left there, went to Texas Tech.
Right.
The only reason I knew about him, and I watched film on him, because he played against my alma mater, Kansas State. And I was watching. They had a kid. Kansas State starting quarterback is actually from Philly.
Yeah, he's from Exton, PA.
Yeah, Exton. Yeah. So I'm watching film on him, and they have a pretty good receiver that he was throwing to. And who was covering him? McPherson was covering him. I'm like, this kid is pretty good. Physical, very physical, almost too physical.
Yep.
Rerouting the receiver. He's not as fast as you want, but he's like a 4.5 guy, high 4.4. But he's good. But you wait to the 4th round to get a corner.
Well,
we have no corners at all.
Right. That's right. Exactly. That's what's infuriating about this.
Maybe the kid will be really good, and then we'll be saying, man, they mined that kid out of the 4th round. That was a genius pick.
I'm
3 years.
In 3 years. I'm tired of that 3 years stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody else is drafting guys that can go play right now. Like Michael Parsons.
I'm saying we grade these drafts 3 years out. That's
right.
All
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. We don't have to grade McPherson now.
Right.
And this is the difference, right? People, however you're approaching this with whatever platform or conversations you're having today, a lot of people approach it like they have to have the two connected, like they're mutually inclusive, if you will, here. But they're not. Where we don't need to grade McPherson for 2 or 3 years. That's fine. Like, who cares about McPherson stepping on the field right now, separate from the Eagles really did not address the cornerback to date by Monday, May 3rd. Like, I think you can make that statement and then say, we have no idea what McPherson will be in the NFL.
Well, we can grade him 3 years.
Do a damn thing to address the position.
Right, shit. I understand that we can grade him 3 years from now, but we don't have that ability to not have him come play now. He has to play now.
Well, yeah, but the Eagles are telling you that this year doesn't matter.
Right. Correct.
That's BS too.
Really, this year is a look-see at a quarterback and building draft picks for down the road, developing players that they're taking now that probably won't start, some of these guys, and next year getting 3 first-round picks.
I'm looking at Dallas's draft.
Dallas is ready to win now.
Right. So Michael Parsons, they got the quarterback. They got Michael Parsons.
Love Parsons.
I'll tell you,
he's going to be a beast.
Flyer on him as defensive rookie of the year. And I suggest you jump in now before that guy starts having Pro Bowl numbers this year.
Did you already bet it?
Yes, I did. I took Horn as a hedge.
Okay.
Those 2 guys. But I love Parsons as rookie of the year.
And Jabril Cox. This kid is even though he's a tweener, this kid can cover. He can blitz. He could play anywhere from LSU.
Mm-hmm.
He transferred from, I think, North Dakota State. He was there first.
Well,
transferred to LSU and balled out his 1 year he was there.
Now the Eagles took a safety late in the draft from LSU. What do you know about him?
He's a hybrid guy. I mean, he put on too much weight because they didn't know if he was going to play linebacker or he's going to play safety. Well, he ended up playing safety. He's going to have to cut some weight. You're right. Yeah, Creed Humphreys. That's his name. Yep, from Oklahoma. Best in the draft.
That's a great name, Creed. Your first name's Creed.
Right. Caught your back here on the stream, so thanks, Keem.
Love that.
But you're right about he'll play special teams here, but he'll still he's still going to have to play reps. They say he's a slot cornerback. I think he can play on the outside. I think he'll be good enough because he has the size to play on the outside too. I think he'll be okay.
Yep.
He's not just going to be a guy that's going to, come in and not play. He'll be physical enough to play.
Here's the thing. We got to break real quick on the network. But just to wrap that up on McPherson, it's not that McPherson can play. It's not that McPherson can't play. I hope, and I'm still going to root for him if it takes him a year to get on the field and play continuously. It's the pressure that has now been put on him to do that. That's unnecessary, because if the Eagles took just one cornerback ahead of him or signed a name in free agency that can be playing that position, we wouldn't be talking about it like that, Barry.
Right.
That's my point. All right, let's take a quick one here. We're live, the JAKIB Media YouTube page, Sports Map Radio as well.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.